to another edition of the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, smAsho, aka Dan, and I'm encased in rage fire. There are solar flares happening. And, by the way, Riot, play right into their hands. Tomorrow you're homeless, tonight it's a blast. Let's start things out by looking at the sun from stereo A. And we see a a coronal mass ejection going off to the left here. And that is not in the Earth-facing direction. Earth is off in this direction from the perspective of stereo A, which follows the Earth around the Sun at Lagrange point 5. Now, I wanted to note real quick that the information on solon.info has been updated, and there you can see the beginnings of cycle 25 there. Right at the beginning of the year here, the end of last year, the time when cycle 24 ended, around something like September. Next, we're going to look at the LASCO C2. Now, this is in between the Earth and the Sun. And we see some ejecta. Also, it looks like sun-diving comet over here on the right. If you saw that right there. And it doesn't look like there's any Earth-facing ejecta or anything of that nature. Let's look at the LASCO C3, which features Venus for the next few days. And there's the view from the C3. And you can see that coronal mass ejection also going off to the east. Next, let's take a look at the Sun. It's 193 angstroms. This view, and this drum machine has to go because it's heating up my lap. All right. Anyway, there's a coronal hole there south of the equator. Former sunspot. I don't know if it ever got named. It's really not particularly relevant, but we see some flaring happening. Some active regions rising there in the southeast. And as usual, we are streaming this live to Twitch. Thanks to our patrons, the real source of funding for our content. Please consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/smAsho. We also are on PayPal and Subscribestar. Check the links below the video. We've got all of our links to our social media down there as well. Thanks for viewing the Smash stream, whether you viewed it live or whether you viewed it, and most likely you viewed it in syndication, because we don't have that big of an audience yet on Twitch. Now we're at Helio Viewer looking at the 171 angstroms, and you can see this active region down here, as well as an active region here. And then this plage up here, which was briefly a sunspot. I don't know if it was a sunspot for long enough, which is 12 hours, to get named. There are the magnetic fields. And here's the 304 angstroms. You can see quite a bit of filamentary activity there. And we do have a custom video about that as well. Coming up, first we're going to look at the southeast. And a great view of that active region. And it looks like that's actually what released that coronal mass ejection. You can actually kind of see some ejecta there. Fantastic view. And that's 304 plus 171 angstroms. Just a great view of the magnetic filamentary rope behavior there. And I'll let that play through one more time. Next, we're going to look at a full disk view in 131 angstroms, and this is a 48-hour video. We typically show you the 48-hour videos on the SDO views. So here's the SDO at 131 angstroms, and this is one of the wavelengths specifically used to watch things like coronal mass ejections and solar flares and sunspot activity. So it's similar to the 171 angstroms in that it's good at showing some magnetic looping. And there's that active region down there that's likely causing those solar flares as well as a coronal mass ejection. And here's that northern region. So we got that filament in the northwest as well as that active region that produced the largest the largest solar flares in nearly 3 years. So we saw 2 M-class flares come out of that area there. Not sure if it ever got named, but it's not really that super important, as the names of sunspots are largely arbitrary. Anyway, that filament over there looks like it's setting, but it still does have the capability to reach out and touch someone. And when I say someone, I mean you. Just kidding, folks. It's not going to reach out and touch you. Next, looking at the KP index here, it's at 3. And NOAA, the Space Weather Prediction Center, has issued a warning of KP of 4. So it must be a coronal hole wind stream. We don't see a whole lot of solar wind activity coming in. Looks like a magnetic event. So 10.7 centimeter radial flux has come back down to 69. And our cosmology segment is that, oh no, not again. Are they doing this to me again? Son of a beehive. What is going on here at smAsho Studios? Today we have a cosmology segment. Survey said! If I get one of these right one of these days, I'm going to be so stoked. I just wanted to tell everybody to go read SciTech Daily today, because there are a lot of articles there, and we don't have time to cover them on a daily space weather because we're running a little bit late, and we've got lots of things to talk about besides this. So there's an article about globular clusters. There's an article about how 200,000 galaxies don't all seem to be rotating the same. There's one about death marker proteins, explaining why exercise is healthy. There's one about supermassive black holes feasting under pressure. There's one about sex differences in alcohol abuse. So yeah, we're not going to do any cosmology, but we're going to talk about the solstice countdown in a new segment. So in 18 days and 12 hours and 52 minutes, where will you be? Where will you be on June 20th at 5:43 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time? We'll be streaming live in 3 different spots: twitch.tv/smAshomash, youtube.com/smAshomash, and also on facebook.com/smAshomash. So we'll have live streams in all those different spots, probably on 3 different devices for the solstice. The Solstice Stream 2020. And let me roll out a new segment. It's the smAsho VoIP phone. So check it out. When we're doing live streams now, to make it more interactive, you'll be able to call me on the VoIP phone. So here it is. There you go, it's ringing. And now I can answer and I can talk to myself, something which I'm adept at doing. So we're going to hook this up to some sort of audio, and it's going to be a delight. So to make it a little more interactive, we'll allow our viewers to call in during certain types of shows, and the solstice stream will be one of them, so join us for that. We may also take Skype calls and do all kinds of video chats and other things like that. There is no format. It will be opened up. Now, just a little advice. If you would like to beef up your smartphone, you can install this app called Talkatone and get your own VoIP device. We're not paid to say this. It's just a good app. You can use it to text. If you're an international viewer and you want to be able to call us using a U.S. domestic numbers, you can get whatever kind of numbers you want. So, for instance, I've been using Talkatone for years, and we've set up a device specifically for our viewers to call in. It's 610-936-9799. So you can call, you can leave messages. It's a free-for-all. Do whatever you want. It's a VoIP phone, and if you want to use Talkatone, it's completely free. Of course, it does include some rather intrusive features. It can be used to track you and all that sort of stuff that people who are paranoid worry about. But it's very useful. And also sometimes people are located in places where they can't get a signal. So if you can't get a cell signal, but you have access to the internet, Wi-Fi, etc., you can use a VoIP phone to make calls and send text messages to people who have access to cell towers. Anyway, moving on, here's where planets are located in the solar system. There's where things will be in a week on 6/9/2020. Here's where stars are, and we are running very late. I got to keep this thing moving. I like to use in-the-sky. So we see we're in a flaring state right now, and indeed, while I did show prep, we were seeing some B-class flares happening, and we're just coming off of those B flares as we do the Daily Space Weather live stream to twitch.tv/smAsho. We don't see any proton events happening. Let's take a look at the real-time solar wind. Oh, we see a shifty phi angle. We see a BT-BZ that's not as expanded as it was. Slightly elevated solar wind density there. Off of its highs of 17 protons per cubic centimeter, now down to about 10 protons. Solar wind speed 332 kilometers a second. And here's the magnetic situation going on here. This is basically just caused by, I guess it's caused by the high density. We don't see any super odd magnetic spikes or anything like that, but we're expecting to see some aurora. So it looks like a magnetic event largely, folks. And there you can see significant pressure. I'm going to let that play through a second time. And that's 4 hours of data, by the way. By the way, thanks to all of our viewers who encouraged us to increase the resolution and quality, etc. of the production. Next, we're going to look at the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. Get a little bit closer to home and see what's going on at the ground level. And there you have that. 4 hours of data. And you can see evidence of where the Canadian North Pole is located. Some evidence of where the Siberian North Pole is located. Some evidence of the South Pole being in the Indian Ocean. And it's what we call a polar excursion. Let's take a look at the current aurora situation, which we've queued up. We don't always feature the aurora forecast. But if you want to look at it yourself, just do a search for Aurora 30-minute forecast. So no real significant auroral uptick yet. But again, there is a KP of 4 forecasted, which would put the Earth in geomagnetic unrest conditions. Not the kind of thing that would shut down any power lines or anything like that. We would not expect. And here's part of the culprit here. We've just moved into the North Pole polarity portion of the current sheet. So as forecasted yesterday, within 24 hours of yesterday's broadcast, we've crossed over. We've crossed over to the other side. No, I don't mean the other side of death. I mean the other side of the current sheet. So you can see part of it's green here, and we're most assuredly already in that green portion or in a switching process now. So you can see we were in a South Pole oriented current sheet shown here in red, and we've just snapped across, which is what's causing the geomagnetic activity. So this data is 4 hours and 22 minutes old. The Earth is most assuredly snapped across, and that's this right here. So, and for you new viewers out there, the M's and N's mean noon and midnight for the GOES 16 satellite. Here's the line of sight field plot, and let's take a look and see what's going on with the B field, shown in blue. And if there's anything going on with it, it's going to be happening over here. And you can see it's a little bit distorted there, as there's quite a bit of activity on the eastern limb. No surprise there. And let's continue on to look at the electron flux, which has been on an insane downtrend since August of 2019. And we've seen high levels of electron flux in August, both 2018 and 2019, but we haven't seen them get in this tight of a range, especially at such a low range for such a long time. Never on this channel. So here's the GOES electron flux, and this one, by the way, is the greater than 2 mega electron volt, and this is the greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volt, what we call relativistic electrons. And quite cratered, and we don't expect to see an increase in this based on the incoming solar wind. because we see an uptick in the solar wind density, and without getting into all the physics of it, we don't expect to see the electron flux to go up. Here's the electron content forecast, and you can see quite low levels. Expect your GPSs to be working fairly well. Oh, there's an anomaly. Check it out. You see that anomaly over the Caribbean? Cuba, the Bahamas, etc. Right there. So we have captured an electron anomaly there. No big deal. Check out how discharged the southern hemisphere nighttime is. And again, for you new viewers out there, the sun would be someplace around here. Let me draw a nice pretty sun. There you go. Does that look like the sun? I know it's not purple, folks. Let's hope it doesn't turn purple. That could make for bad days. Anyway, there's the latest image. That was 6 hours of data on the ionosphere, courtesy of Government of Australia, Bureau of Meteorology. As governments don't do entirely useless things, thanks to the Australian government for this one, we appreciate the ionosphere map animation. There's the current state of affairs, looking fairly normal, actually, at 8:45 UT. And looking at the earthquake rundown, we're going to show you anything that's... I'm just looking at it for the first time myself, folks. I don't always have time to do show prep. Sometimes I just pull up tabs and hope for the best. So here's a 4.3 at Indonesia. That one's at 130 kilometers. Here's a deep quake at Kamchatka, south of Kamchatka, in between Japan and the Kamchatka volcanic peninsula of doom. Hopefully it's not of doom, but anyway. That 4.9 magnitude quake is at 163 kilometers. Here's one at Vanuatu. That one's at depth also. 4.8 magnitude, 117 kilometers. Here's another deep one at Argentina, 178 kilometers. That one coming in at 2204 yesterday. So several deep earthquakes happening. Here's another deep one at Vanuatu. That one came in today at 424, about 4 hours ago. It's at 255 kilometers. Small deep quake at Alaska. And moving on to the volcano rundown, it includes Mount Asa, flight level 6,000 there. Semeru, flight level 13,000 there. Don't pole vault to Kono. It's exploding, producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Sangay. Reported lava flows. Please don't pitch a tent on Sangay. Looks like an uptick there, as it's now got a 20,000-foot ash plume. Don't attempt to fly your hang glider over Sangay. Revenador has dispersed the volcanic ash clouds, and Sabancaya is exploding, producing continuous emissions and a 22,000-foot above sea level ash plume. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera there. Now we've moved on to the... I'm not even... it's not really... It's... Yeah. Do you follow us on social media? We are on lots of social media, and I'm going to actually give you rare insight into what I was watching on YouTube, because I've got some fascinating videos to play for you. Let's start with this one.
Here is the changing narrative.
Check this out. I love this scene. This CNN reporter is amazing. Watch this from the Michael Knowles show. Shout out to Daily Wire. Watch this.
Mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly.
He's standing in front of a giant building on fire and suggesting that it's mostly a protest and largely not unruly. Okay. Now, we're not going to talk about Eugene yet. We're not going to talk about music. What we're going to talk about is Gavin McInnes's video from yesterday. And where was that? It must have been a long time ago. Because Orange Man bad, Orange Man bad, Orange Man caused the country to burn. Because Orange Man bad, I am an NPC.
Broadcast from Lake George.
Anyway, Gavin is amazing. You should watch this video. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but it's about a 20-minute video, and it's got some insight into some things that have been going on. And I know my mom was freaking out yesterday because I sent her this video, because she thinks that means that I admire Gavin McInnes and the Proud Boys and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, I just wanted to recommend that video to you. We're not going to leave it in the description. And I just wanted to say, Riot, the unbeatable high. Riot sends your nerves to the sky. Riot, play right into their hands. Tomorrow you're homeless. Tonight, it's a blast. A quote from Jello Biafra. Please leave a comment if you like the Dead Kennedys. And now we've moved into the touch your face because it's made in China. China. Have you learned how to say China? I'm going to play some stereotypical Chinese music. And I'm going to talk about how it's made in China. Admit it, you search for stereotypical Chinese music. I'm going to touch my face now, which, by the way, is not made in China. It's not made in China. Do you know how to say China like you have a sinus infection? China. China. Can you say China? Teach your friends how to say China. I don't know why it doesn't play. It did the same thing yesterday. What a piece of crap! Hey, YouTube, learn to code. By the way, if you enjoy the content, please press like and subscribe on YouTube. Shout out to Diamond at Oppenheimer Ranch Project, as well as people like Robitaille, David Dubine, and Eugene the Philosopher, now on our related content, so check that out. Also, check out links to smashomash.org and so on. I wanted to cite this comment on BitChute. Thanks for leaving a comment, Biker Mailman, who says, Laura Luma pretends to be right-wing. At the very least, she has the definite crazy eyes and sometimes behavior, and I'm not fully convinced she's a she. So I said, largely agree with you. She's odd, wrapped in odd, and she always leaves me with a, what the, huh? Anyway, thanks to our subs over there at BitChute. Sorry that we're not putting up more exclusive content, but we are massively overworked and underpaid, so please consider donating to the cause. Also, check out smashomash.com/forum, especially if you find yourself locked in a bunker. Are you locked in a bunker? Have you put up a Festivus poll? By the way, we're going to put up a Festivus poll possibly today. Are you on Gab? What about minds.com? Are you on Instagram? Have you have you noticed my posts about Pennsylvania's government? Yeah, well, here's Brian Sims, seems to be a total douchebag, talking to CNN. Perhaps check out my cloud photos. Check out this one. It's a frontal boundary, folks. It's not caused by HARP or by chemtrails. Are you ready? Are you ready for the 3C405 t-shirts? Well, it's coming. We might even make a pandemic t-shirt. I don't know. We may make this one. And we may make this one. And we might make them both. Let us know what you prefer. Check out the freeze and frost warnings in Maine. Hydrologic outlooks still snowmelt flooding there in the northern Rockies, as well as along the Mississippi. No surprises there once again. And check out the meridional jet stream flow. It's all over the place. So we're getting very cold air injected down here. And look what's going on over here on the eastern world. So you see this? That's warm air being injected into Greenland. So get ready for the articles about how OMG, OMG, as we approach a day where it's light for the entire northern half of Greenland all day long, the 6 weeks around the solstice, we're going to hear all about how crazily spooky it is that Greenland, OMG, it's melting. Let's see how melted it is. Let's take a quick look here at the real-time snow depth map courtesy of windy.com, who, by the way, has a lovely free mobile app as well. And man, Greenland looks really melted to me, doesn't it? Boy, oh boy, look how melted it is. Oh my gosh, it's got more than 5 meters of snow there. Let's go to the southernmost tip. Just the tip, folks. Just the tip. Here's sea ice. That's not even on land. And there's 104.5 inches of snow there. But right here, there's none. So let's focus on how there's zero snow there. But the entire island has over 9 feet of snow. From all the pink areas, folks. That's 9 feet, according to this. Right there's the scale. Actually, let me vanish. See, there's the scale. 9 feet. 9 feet. Anybody that tells you that Greenland is melting is obviously made in China. Okay? China. I don't know why they made it China, but they're made in China. They made of cheap plastic. Perhaps they even have glass bones and paper skin. Okay? That's how they design people in China. People are made out of glass bones and paper skin. I don't know why. They're made in China. Okay? China. China. Can you say China? All right, I got to stop. We're going to advance the pressure maps here as we do most days. Practically every day. We'll let it advance until tomorrow via the it's the Euro forecast. We've abandoned the GFS forecast because reasons. No, there's the Euro forecast. Here's the GFS forecast for the same time. It's not particularly different. We've got more value-added services, such as the water vapor maps for Europe and Africa. Here's a water vapor map for the Far East and Oceania. Shout out to Kimberly. Let us know how Photoshop is working. We've detected problems with Windows. We'll tell you about it later. Let's see where the lightning's striking at lightningmaps.org. Anyway, there's where it is. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar map as we continue on and on with value-added services. Yes. Heavy rains in western PA. Here's what's going on in the cloud layer. And we're using the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite's shortwave radiation map to see clouds at nighttime. Let's look at other things that can be invisible. The water vapor, yeah. The benefit to the water vapor map is that it shows you water vapor when it's not condensed onto clouds. So when you look up in the sky and you see a cloud, that's condensed water vapor. That's what we call a cloud. This satellite sees the water vapor also, which is not condensed onto clouds, giving you a much better indication as to what the weather's doing. So this, for instance, this rain in western Pennsylvania is going to stagnate a bit because of the action of the jet stream moving things in this direction. It's extreme meridional jet stream flow, folks. That's why it's so cold in PA. Hey, thanks, SMASH team. Please share the content in your social media, etc. Stay tuned for bonus features. Here's the current state of magnetic affairs in colorized magnetogram. And I doubt we see any sunspots, but let's look anyway. First of all, this region. No dark ombre there. Next, this region. Where was it? Right there. No dark ombre. So we have 0 sunspots. Let's take a look at one more view here, the 94 angstroms. Whoops. Anyway, there are the magnetic field force lines. Let's look at a 48-hour video and call it a day. Let us know if you're going to go ride your bike today. Shout out to Terrence. How are things, Terrence? When are you coming to PA to do one of those Lehigh Wheelman Association rides that probably don't exist thanks to Tom Wolfe? Just kidding, folks. Anyway, let's see if we have any chats. We don't have any chats. Here's me saying bye-bye. Don't have your rage flames turned up too high. Remember, stare at the sun. Don't drink it. If you do drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries.